Okay, welcome everybody back to Kira Yoga. So we're just starting on our backs. Just getting comfortable here. Starting to feel a natural breath. Maybe closing down the eyes. You can have your legs out long, maybe something underneath the knees if that feels better for your lower back. Or you can have your knees up to the ceiling. Soles of the feet on the floor can feel nice. Tilt the knees in. So just taking note of your natural breath here, noticing what it's doing. Maybe noticing the count of the breath in and out. And we're going to begin with the 3-part yogic breath today. So this is where we visualize breathing in through our belly, our side ribs, and our chest. Exhaling out, chest, side ribs, belly. So you might like to place your hands on your belly, or one hand on your belly, one on your chest. Exhaling out where you are, and we'll inhale belly, side ribs, chest. Exhaling, chest, side ribs, belly. Inhaling, belly, side ribs, chest. Chest, side ribs, belly. Inhaling, belly, side ribs, chest. Chest, side ribs, belly. Noticing if you can feel the rise of that belly on the inhale, through the ribs, chest, chest, side ribs, belly. Belly falls on the exhale. Just continuing those rounds in your own time. Visualizing the air filling up the belly, through the side ribs, expanding the side ribs through to the top of the chest. Exhaling out, reversing the process. This is helping us tune in to our diaphragmatic breathing. So using our diaphragm muscles, big band underneath our lungs. So it expands, pulls the air in on the inhale. Exhale, contracts, pushes the air out of the lungs on the exhale. And just continue this for a few more rounds. Breathing here. Continuing that yogic breath. And we'll do the final one together. So exhaling where we are, inhaling through the belly, side ribs, chest. Exhaling, chest, side ribs, belly. Awesome work. So we're just going to bring both the knees into the chest now, into our cradle position, rocking side to side, maybe making circles with the knees. So bringing the knees in close and then away from the body. And going one way and then turning around the other way. The circles both ways. Then we're just going to lower our right foot onto the ground, keeping our left knee close. So you can either use the hand to guide the knee or just the knee by itself, or making circles with the one knee now. Make them as big or as small as you like. Maybe trying without the hand and with the hand. Breathing as we go. Going one way and then the other. And then swapping knees. Placing the left foot down, bringing the right one up. Going circles one way. Breathing. And then the other way. Awesome work. Placing both feet down now, and we're coming into a little spinal twist. So both knees are going to come over to the left, coming all the way down, stacking one leg on top of the other. We're going to bring our left hand out to the left, nice and straight. And then our right hand is going to come up and over on top. So our palms are touching. Breathing here. And then we're going to reach that right hand out in front of us. A bit longer than the left hand. And then exhaling, opening up the shoulders, bringing that right hand all the way over to the other side into a T shape. Breathing here, so you can look over to the left or you can look over to the right for more of a spinal twist, more of a stretch, if that feels okay for the neck. Breathing here. Inhaling and exhaling, bringing that right hand up and over, all the way back on top of that left hand. And exhaling out, we're just going to swap over to the other sides, bringing the knees up through center, shuffling over to the other side of your mat if you like, if you want to keep most of your body on the mat. Bringing the knees over towards the right this time, stacked on top of each other. Stretching out, and then that left hand is going to come join it, stacked on top of it. Just doing the same thing on this side. Reaching that left hand out longer than the right hand. Inhaling and then exhaling, bringing that left hand all the way over, nice and slow. Out into a T shape and looking over to the left if that feels okay. Breathing here. Inhaling, exhaling that left hand all the way back over to stack on top of the right. And then twisting around, coming back to neutral spine. So we're just going to make our way into a little windscreen wiper motion now. Bring the feet. So feet are about hip width apart. Knees over to the right, and then exhaling, knees over to the left, making that windscreen wiper motion. Nice way to break up the hip stretches. Get a little massage on the lower back. We're going to come into our bridge pose. So I'll show you the unsupported version first. So if we bring our feet about hip width apart, they should be sort of just out of reach of the hands. And then our knees are hip width apart, so our feet and knees are aligned, stacked on top of one another. Our hands are coming down to our sides, palms are pushing into the floor. And then we're going to tilt our pelvis. So right now I've got a little bit of a gap under my lower back. So I'm going to tilt my pelvis to flatten that out so my back is flat on the floor. And then I'm going to inhale and bring my hips up high so that they're in line with my legs. So there's a flat line between my knees and my shoulders. Breathing here. Inhaling, exhaling, just a couple more breaths. So this is the unsupported version. Exhaling back down, keeping those hips nice and tilted so we're flat on the floor when we come back down. So that's unsupported. If you've got a block or something similar, you can push the hips up and put that prop underneath. So you can have whichever height you like. You can go the middle height or the lower height if that's feeling too much. We sort of want to do the same as if we were doing it unsupported so that our hips are nice and high. And we can just settle back down here onto our support. So it's more of a passive movement. So if you've got your support staying there, surrendering over your prop. If you're unsupported, join me in bringing the hips back up, breathing here. Let's do another round after this. Breathing here, inhaling, exhaling back down. And then inhaling, coming back up, tilting that pelvis, pushing the hips up, breathing. And you can pretend you're sort of squeezing a prop in between your knees. So you don't want your knees to come all the way in, but you don't want them to come out to the side, just keeping them right about that hip width apart. Breathing here and exhaling back down. Awesome work. And if you had that prop underneath, just lifting the hips up so you can get that out, pushing it over towards the side, coming into some windscreen wiper motions again. And then we're going to come over to the side and make our way up into a seated position. Just coming into a comfortable Skandasana, cross-legged pose. If you'd like, you can have a rolled up towel or sit up onto a cushion or something, so that tilts your pelvis forward, can make sitting more comfortable. We're just going to come into some neck rolls to start with, so dropping our chin to our chest, and then our right ear, right shoulder. Exhaling down, left ear, left shoulder. And coming round to the right side, just moving with your breath. So on your exhale, coming round to the left side, inhaling here. On your exhale, coming around to the right side. If that feels okay for the neck, you can Make a more 360 motion. Bring your neck over to the side and then up. And back down. Breathing here. Coming around to the other side. So going one way and then going the other. Just do a few circles on each side. And then making your way back to center. So we're going to come into some side stretches now. So bringing our right hand down onto the ground. So you might want to stay up on the hand, or you might want to come down onto the forearm, just feeling what that feels like on that side stretch, making sure that your left hip is staying planted onto the mat and not coming up onto the side. That probably means that you need to come out a little bit and lessen the stretch. So just coming as far as feels good, and then inhaling that left hand up and over. But we're going to put our hand on our head now so that we've got a bent elbow. We're going to look up towards the bent elbow. Breathing here, inhaling. And on the exhale, we're going to bring the left elbow down towards the floor. Sort of like a little crunch. Inhaling back up. So opening up the elbow, closing back down towards the floor. Inhaling back up, one more. Exhaling back down. And inhaling back up. Inhaling up to the other side. Left hand comes down, right hand comes up, bending the elbow. Looking up towards that right elbow this time. Closing the elbow towards the floor. Exhaling. Inhaling, coming up. Exhale, coming down. Inhaling. Exhaling, coming down. Last time, looking up. Awesome work. Coming all the way back up. Inhaling the hands up above the head. Exhaling back down to the sides. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. Inhaling up, staying there. Twisting to the right, dropping the hands down. Left hand comes to right knee. Inhaling, lengthening. Exhaling, twisting, looking behind us. Breathing here. On the next inhale, coming back to center, inhaling, hands up above the head. Exhaling to the left this time. Right hand comes to left knee. Inhaling, lengthening. Exhaling, twisting, looking behind us. Breathing here. And coming back to center, inhaling the arms up. Exhaling into the side. Inhaling, hands up. Exhaling, hands down. Inhaling, hands up. And we're just going to grab the opposite elbow. So grabbing I'm using my right hand to grab my left elbow, and I'm going to pull to the right side, just to create a little side stretch or a crescent moon. Inhaling back up and then swapping hands. So left hand is going to grab the right wrist this time, pulling over towards the left, and then getting a stretch down the right side body. Breathing here. Inhaling back up, exhaling the hands down to the side. Awesome work. So we're just going to switch ourselves to the side, bringing our legs out long. You can have as much of a bend in the knees as you like. Breathing here. You can also have that rolled up towel underneath your hips to tilt your pelvis forward. We're coming into a couple of forward folds now. So inhaling, lengthening, sitting up tall.
Exhaling, folding forward, walking the hands forward as far as feels good. Maybe bringing the palms to face up can be comfortable. Inhaling, exhaling, folding down, coming as far down as feels good for you. Dropping down the neck, releasing the strain on the neck. Breathing here. And just be here for a minute or so. Seeing if you can soften on the exhale, becoming heavier. Don't forget to breathe, making sure your breath isn't restricted at all. And on the inhale, just making your way back up nice and slowly, coming all the way up. Awesome work. Maybe just taking some rolls of the ankles here, stretching out the hands. And we're going to come into our butterfly pose next, our Baddha. So bringing our soles of our feet together. So the closer the heels are to the body, the more stretch we're going to get through the inner thighs. So if it's feeling a bit too strong, just bringing the feet out wide into more of a diamond shape should lessen the sensation in the inner thighs and the groin. So just playing around with where that feels good. Inhaling here and exhaling, coming down. You can rest the elbows on the knees if you like. This will help sort of push the knees down towards the ground. Just making sure it's not feeling too strong, and we don't want any pain in yoga. So if that's feeling too much with the elbows, you don't need to include that at all. Wrapping the hands around the feet or just walking them out in front of you, coming down as far as feels good. Exhaling the head down, releasing the strain on the neck. And you'll notice as you fold forward, probably increase the sensation in the inner legs. So just being mindful of that because we will be here for a couple of minutes. So making sure you're comfortable. Breathing here wherever you are. Just a few more breaths. And then on the next inhale, pushing the hands down, walking your way back up to seated, slowly making your way out and come up and over onto our hands and knees, coming into a tabletop position. So we generally have our, I hear a pippa at the door. Hi, you come to join us. Oh, well done, Pippi. Downward dog. Good girl. Hello. Hello. So making our way into our hands and knees. And if that's a little too much on the wrists, you can have the hands out in front a little more. That should reduce a bit of the strain on the wrists. We're just going to come into our cat-cows, but we're going to do them fairly slow and mindfully. This is one we do a lot, so it sort of becomes a little bit automatic. So we're going to push our belly down towards the ground, inhaling inhaling up and looking up with our eyes, going really slowly. And then on the exhale, dropping the head down, belly comes up, rounding the back, nice and slowly, looking down. Inhaling, coming down, pushing the belly towards the floor, arching the back, looking up. Exhaling, looking down, rounding the back. Belly draws in. One more, inhaling, looking up. Belly drops down. Exhaling, rounding the back. And we're going to just make our way into little circles now. So think of it as drawing circles with your belly button. So dropping your belly button down towards the floor and then moving it over towards the left, tucking it up and over towards the right. Don't forget to breathe. So inhaling over towards the left as we get to the top, starting your exhale, drawing those circles all the way around. See what that movement feels like, doing something different with our body, using different muscles, concentrating, keep going around. And then when we get to the bottom, we're going to turn the circles around. So we're going to go the other way. So inhaling over towards the right this time. And then as we get to the top, exhaling, belly button comes all the way around to the left and back down. Inhaling towards the right, drawing the belly in, exhaling around to the left and down. And go as slow or as fast as you like. Breathing here. Take the door again. You can make the circles as big as you like if you want to incorporate more of a stretch on the lower back, so you can start to move the hips back and down and around, making bigger circles this time, coming forwards and then back around. This one's really good on my lower back. And then moving the circles around, back around. It's almost like you're sitting back on the heels and then coming into a plank position and then back around. Awesome work. So once you're feeling even on both sides, just coming into a neutral position, and we're going to make our way into our child's pose, sitting back on the heels, bringing the forehead down onto the mat, hands come behind us by our sides. Breathing here in our child's pose, resting, connecting with the breath again, noticing if our breath is sped up a little bit. Just slowing it down. So we're coming into our kneeling sun salutes next. We're going to do a few rounds of these. So on your next inhale, coming up from your child's pose, making your way back through and up onto your knees, into a kneeling position. So knees are about hip width apart. You can tuck the toes under for more stability if you like. Inhaling the hands up and above the head, looking up, and exhaling the hands back down. So fingertips can point towards the floor, or fingertips can point up towards the ceiling, a bit more of a wrist stretch. And then if you want to, you can push the hips forward and come into a little bit of a back bend. Just being careful of the lower back here. Pushing the hips forward as far as you like, maybe looking up. And exhaling, coming out of the back bend, drawing the hands down towards the ground. Coming into our kneeling plank now. So our knees go back slightly, our hands come forward slightly, and we're going to bring our shoulders over our hands, dropping our hips down, making that straight line. Making sure you have enough room. So coming into that kneeling plank position, exhaling down onto the belly, lowering down, sliding the hands forward, coming into our Cobra position. Breathing here, elbows are sort of underneath the shoulders, and our palms and forearms are pushing down into the mat. Breathing here, exhaling back down, lowering the hands down, pushing through with the hands coming back up through our tabletop, and then sliding our hands forward, coming into our puppy pose or our melting heart pose, dropping the chest down onto the mat and the forehead down. Keeping the hips up high, just like Pippa was demonstrating when she came in before. Breathing here, and then on the inhale, coming back up. Sitting back onto the heels and coming down into our child's pose. Breathing here. Awesome work. Another breath here in our child's pose. And then we're going to make our way back up onto our knees, just repeating the same sequence now. So inhaling the hands up above the head, exhaling them down onto the lower back, pushing the hips forward if you like, breathing here, inhaling, exhaling down, coming through to our plank, inhaling at the top, exhaling, lowering down, inhaling upwards in our Cobra, chest is pointing forward, breathing here, exhaling back down, pushing away with the mat, inhaling, sliding the hands forward, exhaling down into our puppy, breathing here, inhaling, exhaling, inhaling, making our way back up, exhaling, sitting back on the heels, coming back into child's pose. Breathing here in our child's pose. So as you noticed, and as we usually do in our flows, we're matching our breath with our movement. Usually on our upwards movement, we're inhaling, and on our downwards or closed movement, we're exhaling. So it doesn't matter at all if you want to go slower, take a few extra breaths in any of the poses. This is your practice. Everything is optional and you can do everything at your own pace. So from our child's pose, coming into our last round, inhaling up to our kneeling pose, inhaling the hands above the head, exhaling down, hands come to lower back, pushing the hips forward if you like, exhaling back down, coming into our plank pose, inhaling, exhaling, dropping down, inhaling up in a Cobra. If you want a little more, you can push through the hands. This will increase the back bend. Inhaling here, exhaling down, pushing away with the mat, Inhaling, coming back up, sliding the hands forward and coming into our puppy pose. Last one. Breathing here, inhaling, exhaling. Inhaling, coming all the way up, and exhaling, coming down into our child's pose. Breathing here. Awesome work. Just another couple of breaths here. And then inhaling back up. So coming into another kneeling pose. So I'm going to come in the middle of my mat so I have room on each side. I'm going to come into our gate pose. So moving our hands in front of us, sliding our right leg out long and planting the feet down onto the ground. Walking our hands over towards the left, so our left hand is going to plant down. Making sure we can stabilize ourselves. Right hand is going to come to the hip, so you can stay there if you like. And push the hips forward. And then inhaling that right hand up and over. It's optional, creating a little bit of a back bend. Breathing here. Exhaling back down. That hand's going to swipe around from the left all the way to the right. Coming to the front. Right foot is going to come in. Right hand is going to come round to the right. Left foot is going to come out this time, planting the left feet down on the ground. Bringing that left hand onto the left hip, pushing the hips forward. Inhaling that left hand up and over, if you like. Breathing here. Exhaling back down. Awesome work. Bringing both knees in. Walking ourselves around. And we're going to come into our Yogi Squat next. So I'm going to tuck my toes underneath and push my hips up. Sort of come into a little bit of a downward dog, but then just walk your feet forward and out as wide as the mat. Bending the knees as much as you like. And then sitting the hips down, coming into a squat position. So you don't have to come all the way down. And as far down as feels comfortable. Your heels will probably come off the ground. You can have your feet as wide or as close together as feels good for you. I like to just move myself around, getting comfortable with the pose when I start. Settling down into some sort of squat that is comfortable for you. And if you want to, you can inhale, pushing the elbows, pushing the knees apart with the elbows, bringing the palms into heart center. Breathing here. And then there's optional spinal twist. So I'm going to bring my left hand down towards the ground. My right hand's going to come up towards the ceiling. Breathing here. Exhaling down, right hand to the floor. Inhaling, left hand up. Exhaling back down. Awesome work. So next one, a little bit tricky. It's called Skandasana. It's a sort of a side lunge. So pretty much we're just going to extend one leg out and keep one leg bent. And it's quite a bit of a balancing pose too. So I'm going to come onto my left leg, do a little half squat, and then I'm going to stretch that right leg out straight. So I've come up onto the toes a lot more with my left leg now. You can have the hands on either side for stability. Breathing here. This is called Skandasana. If you're feeling okay and pretty balanced, or you want a little bit of a challenge, you can bring the hands up to heart center. Exhaling back down, pretty tricky. And we're going to inhale to the other side. So I'm going to plant my right foot down, bring that in and bend it a little bit, and then come up, move my hips up, coming into a bit of a transitional wide-legged forward fold. And then I'm going to bend that right knee, sit down on that right leg, and bring that left leg out long. So you can be up a lot higher if that feels better for you. Bending one knee slightly, you don't have to come all the way down. So if you came all the way down, your left toes, aiming to have them point up towards the ceiling. So my sides feel quite different, that I can sit down and have a flat foot with my right side. So you'll probably notice one side feeling a lot different to the other. One side might be a bit tighter. And then you can bring your hands to heart center if you like. Exhaling here. And all the way up and bringing the feet up towards a standing forward fold. I'm just sorting out my mat. Okay. Breathing here. Very tricky work, that one. So just coming into a standing forward fold, bending the knees as much as you like, and then sort of slumping over. Hands might be anywhere along the legs. I want to grab the opposite elbows, come into little semicircles with the hips, dropping down the neck. Breathing here. An optional spinal twist. Left hand plants down, bend the knees. Inhaling, right hand up towards the ceiling. Exhaling, right hand back down. Inhaling, left hand up. Exhaling, back down. Awesome work. And then just moving the feet back and down, coming into through a tabletop position. I'm just going to sit back on the bottom. Breathing here. Coming into the last part of our practice. I'm going to come into a twisted deer. So both my legs are coming out into a bit of an L shape. My sole of my left foot is pushing into the top of my right thigh. And both soles of my feet are pointing to the right. So my left knee is pointing straight out in front of me. And then I'm going to twist over towards my left, plant both my hands down, coming into a spinal twist, and stay upright if you like, or you might want to come down onto your forearms if that feels good. Breathing here in our twisted deer. Inhaling and exhaling, a few more breaths. Inhaling, coming up, and we'll just swap sides. So we'll just swap the legs over to the other side, so bending over, feet, soles of the feet facing to the left this time. Right sole of the foot is pushing into the top of the left thigh. And then I'm going to wiggle around. So my right knee is pointing out in front of me, and then I'm going to twist over that right leg over to the right side, inhaling up, looking up, and then coming down onto the forearms. This side might feel a bit different or a bit tighter, so it might look a little bit different. That's fine. Our sides aren't symmetrical. And breathing here. Just a few more breaths.
And exhaling, making our way back out. I'm going to come down onto our backs. Just a few more poses before rest. Breathing here. So I'm going to bring my knees in towards my chest, and then we're coming into happy baby. So knees are coming out wide, sort of underneath the armpits, and then reaching for the outsides of the feet. Feet are parallel with the ceiling. If this is feeling a little much, you can grab anywhere along the legs, maybe the ankles, maybe the shins, maybe just wrapping your arms behind your knees. Finding what variation suits you and settling down. You might want to rock side to side. Or you might just want to come into stillness and be closing down the eyes if that feels okay. Breathing here. Just a few more breaths. And then exhaling, dropping the feet back down towards the floor, coming into some windscreen wiper motions. And then we're going to come into our figure 4 pose. So with our feet hip width apart and our knees pointing upwards, we're just going to bring our right ankle on top of our left knee. And I'm going to push that right knee away. You can stay here, or if you want a little more, you can clasp the hands behind the left knee. Or if you need a little more still, you can clasp in front of the left knee. So you should be feeling some sort of sensation through the hips, maybe the lower back as well. Just making sure it's a comfortable amount of sensation, not too much, not any pain in yoga. Just noticing if we're pushing, pulling, or gripping anywhere. You want to try and soften down. Breathing here. And our next exhale, we're going to slide that right leg all the way across so that our right knee is stacked on top of our left. And then we're going to drop our knees over to the right. We're sort of making a little twisted roots with our legs. Dropping them over to the right so the right shoulder can come all the way over to the left for now. And then we're slowly going to open back up like we did at the start. So we've got our left hand out long. Our right hand is going to come up and over, stacked on top. Breathing here. And inhaling, we're going to open up the hands. So right hand is going to come all the way over into that T shape. And if that feels okay, we can look all the way over towards the right. If that's too much sensation or too much of a spinal stretch, we can come anywhere in the middle or all the way back over. Breathing here in our twisted roots. Inhaling and exhaling, coming back over, unraveling the legs, making our way back to neutral spine. Going to come into our figure 4 on the other side now. So feet are about hip width apart, left leg on top this time, so left ankle on top of right knee, just above the right knee. Pushing that left leg away, so we start to get a bit of a stretch through the left hip. If you'd like a little more, options behind the right knee, clasping, or in front of the right knee. Making sure that that left knee isn't dipping down towards the chest too much, keeping it pushed away. That'll keep the sensation. Breathing here in whichever option suits you. Or a few breaths. Breathing here. And exhaling that right foot down, sliding that left leg across so the knees come to stack on top of each other. And then bringing both knees over towards the right. Bringing that right hand out long, left hand comes and stacks on top. Breathing here. And then slowly starting to open that left hand just as far as suits you. Maybe looking over towards the left, maybe coming to more of a halfway pose, hand on the left hip. Totally up to you. Breathing here, settling down. Just a few breaths on this side. And then exhaling that left hand back over towards the right, unraveling the legs. Coming back out. And we're just going to come into a waterfall pose or a legs up the wall pose. So if you've got a wall nearby, you can shuffle up towards it and then bring the legs up the wall, shuffling the hips around. You might want to play around with how far away your bottom is, if it's pressed right up against the wall or a bit further away. Might feel better for the legs in a certain position. This is our last pose before rest. So if you don't have a wall or a chair to put your legs up onto, and you had that prop from the start, or a firm pillow or a bolster, you can come into that bridge pose, push the hips up, bring that prop underneath the hips onto the sacrum, that hard part of the lower back, and then one at a time just bringing your legs up towards the ceiling. And if you move that prop further away from the body, you'll get this sort of hip tilt that'll bring your feet up over your head more rather than away from your body. So that'll turn it into more of a passive pose than an active pose. So if you're happy at the wall, staying there. If you want to try the waterfall pose, go ahead. Coming into whatever suits you and then softening down. Just for a couple of minutes. So like we talked about at the start with our diaphragmatic breathing and how it activates our parasympathetic nervous system, this does the same thing. So we're having our feet above our head, sort of signaling to our body that we can't go anywhere. We just have to slow down and rest. Bringing the blood back to the core of the body. And sort of start to feel maybe this relaxation feeling come over you. Sometimes it takes a couple of minutes in this pose, making sure you're comfortable and warm. Maybe closing down the eyes if that feels okay. This is a good one to do as well if you can't sleep at night. Just elevating your feet. So propping them up with some pillows or putting them over the bed head or up the wall. Making sure you're feeling as passive as possible, that you're not gripping, pushing or pulling anywhere. You're softening down the face, softening the jaw, feeling heavy on the mat. If you want to, taking big inhales through the nose, sighing out the mouth, softening down on the exhales. After a while, you might start to feel just a little bit of tingliness through the feet. It's totally fine. The blood is just sort of draining from the feet, coming back down to the core because our feet are up so high. Breathing here for a few more breaths. And taking final breath in. And on the exhale, we're slowly making our way out. So you might want to walk the feet back down the wall and bring the knees over towards the side. Just shuffling yourself back onto your mat, coming into rest. Making sure you're comfortable and warm. Might want to have something underneath your knees if that feels better for your lower back. Otherwise, freeing the knees out long and wide. Maybe the hands come down to your side or onto your belly. Maybe something underneath your head. Taking a big deep breath in, exhale, sighing out the mouth, signaling to the body that we've arrived in rest. We've come to the end of our practice and there's nothing left to do. Just closing down the eyes if that feels okay. And settling down into rest for the next couple of minutes. Breathing here. Just noticing if you can soften more on the exhale. You become heavier through the back of the head, heavier through the shoulders and the back, heavier through the hips, the buttocks, and the backs of the legs, heavier through the feet and the arms and the hands. Slowly starting to deepen the breath. Gently starting to get some movement through the fingers and the toes. Maybe starting to roll the wrists and the ankles. Coming into a full body stretch, bringing the arms up above the head. Inhaling, exhaling, sighing out the mouth. When you're ready, just coming onto your preferred side, staying here for a couple of breaths. And as we're on our side, just thinking of something that we're grateful for today. Even just one thing. Maybe we're grateful for a glimpse of nature or plants. Maybe we're grateful for a bit of time out to ourselves, a bit of self-care with our yoga practice. And when you're ready, just making your way up. Thanking yourself for making the time to practice today. And thank you so much for joining me and supporting me. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you next time.